Israel respond to an unprecedented attack by Iran on its own soil?
This is the problem. See, these are things that you can't turn around overnight. Because when they're head of state, they will do war. After they retire, they will talk peace. '20th century, 21st century when it began, everybody said, this is 21st century, this is the age of information, this is technology, this, that, no wars. Tell me how many wars in 21st century? How many nations have been destroyed in 21st century?
Many.
Too many. Too many for 22 years, isn't it?
So how do we wake up?
See, these are things that you can't turn around overnight, but first thing is, within your hearts, your anger and hatred must go. I must tell you this. I used to attend a lot of world peace conferences at one time. For about 2 years, 2.5 years, I attended a lot of international conferences. Then I saw, for a whole lot of people, this conference hopping itself is a profession, they're making a living out of it. I'm the only idiot sitting there thinking we are working for… 42 Nobel laureates were participating and a few ex-heads of state and all that stuff. Because when they're head of state, they will do war. After they retire, they will talk peace. This has been the way of the world. So, I was here and this is the third day afternoon. One particular Nobel laureate, it's his turn to speak and after that I'm speaking. So he came up and there is no… this podium is a little exposed, a proper big podium, the wooden thing. So he went and stood behind that and he opened his file. He looked down, he never lifted up his head up. He read 42 pages. And I was sitting in the front row trying to grasp every word. I'm watching every page. 42 pages he flipped. Then I look around, the hall is absolutely peaceful. Because everybody, except the security and a few staff who are standing, everybody has fallen asleep. Then I thought, this is world peace for sure. Then my turn to speak came and I said, see, in the last 3 days I've heard so many bombastic speeches about creating world peace. But I'm asking you sincerely, how many of you can place your hand on your heart and say, your mind is peaceful? Because if your mind is not peaceful, if you can't make your mind peaceful, making the damn world peaceful is out of question. Because what you are seeing in the world is a larger manifestation of what's happening in human minds, isn't it? If there are no human beings on this planet, world is peaceful, isn't it?
So let us make the wish to make our minds peaceful globally, and I think Olga wants to…
No, this is the whole thing. We can't make everybody's mind peaceful. You can make yours peaceful, I can make mine peaceful, she can make hers peaceful, this is the only way it works. This is the problem. We talk about a world, we talk about a society, we talk about a humanity. No, all these are just vocabulary. There are only human beings. If this one and this one does not solve their problems, the world's problems are never gone.
In the early morning of April 13, a series of extraordinary events unfolded, bringing about two remarkable occurrences. Firstly, displaying an exceptional demonstration of technical skill, Israel, in collaboration with Britain, France, Jordan and the United States, successfully intercepted a staggering number of 170 drones, 120 ballistic missiles and 30 cruise missiles that were primarily launched from Iran towards Israel. This impressive defense operation boasted an astounding 99% effectiveness, resulting in minimal casualties and infrastructure damage. Secondly, after enduring months of predominantly unfavorable media coverage and increasing international pressure, Israel unexpectedly found itself receiving a wave of sympathy and positive press. In light of this double triumph, United States President Joe Biden reportedly offered valuable advice to Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, encouraging him to acknowledge and embrace this victory. Furthermore, multitude of allies and expected echoed and sentiment, advising Israel to seize this opportunity and capitalize on its recent accomplishments. Despite being advised by the United States to slow things down and refrain from immediate retaliation, Israel has shown a little interest in following this advice. Israel's leaders, including Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, Israel Defense Force Chief Herzi Halevi, War Cabinet Member Benny Gantz, and Prime Minister Netanyahu, have all vowed to retaliate. In defiance of the advice, Israel conducted a counterstrike on an Iranian air defense system in Isfahan, central Iran. This action, while mostly symbolic, raises the question of why Israel is once again going against the advice of its allies, who recently came to its aid. Ultimately, numerous misguided justifications are concluding for Israel's retaliatory actions. However, one fundamental and paramount reason is the ongoing state of war between Israel and Iran, a conflict that shows no signs of abating in the foreseeable future. As long as this hostile relationship persists, the inherent operational dynamics of warfare will inevitably drive both parties towards further escalation. Some believe that the reason behind Israel's retaliatory action can be attributed to Netanyahu's personal ambitions. According to this perspective, Netanyahu is solely motivated by self-preservation. It is important to note that Netanyahu is not well liked within Israel, with a merger approval rating of only 15%. His main claim to political legitimacy, which is ensuring Israeli security, has been severely damaged by the horrific massacre carried out by Hamas on October 7th and the subsequent event that followed. Therefore, it is not surprising that individuals, including the Iranian regime, argue with Netanyahu is seeking a war with Iran to restore his domestic image or at the very least prolong the aftermath of the October 7th catastrophe. By doing so, Netanyahu hopes to increase his chance to political survival. Netanyahu may be seen as desperate in his actions, but it is more important to note that the call for retaliation is not solely driven by him. In fact, there are other influential figures within Israel, including political rivals like Gantz and Gallant, who are also advocating for a strong response. These individuals have their own political agendas and stand to gain from Netanyahu's potential downfall. Recent polls suggest that Gantz could potentially become the prime minister if election were to take place soon. Moreover, the political ramifications of Netanyahu or any other individual striking Iran remain uncertain. The recent polling conducted by Hebrew University reveals that a significant 74% of Israelis are against a retaliatory attack if it jeopardizes their nation's security alliance with its allies. Additionally, the same survey indicates that 56% of Israelis believe their country should positively respond to political and military demands from its allies to ensure a sustainable defense system in the long run. Notably, even within Netanyahu's coalition, the limited counterstrike executed on Friday did not yield a responding political victory. Criticism of the action came from right-wing National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, who described it as lame on X. On the other hand, Israel's reason for retaliating seemed unconvincing. Israel's officials mentioned the importance of sending a strong message to Tehran and showing them a lesson. However, Israel's past actions have shown that engaging in retaliatory violence rarely achieves that desired outcome. Despite our limited military operations in Gaza and sporadic strikes in between, Hamas remained resilient, as demonstrated by the devastating events of October 7. Moreover, Iran has used similar rhetoric about the need to teach Israel a lesson from targeting its operatives in Syria and the other regions. This raises doubts about whether Israel would be successful in teaching Iran a lesson through further military action. To be honest, there are only few instances where Israel has truly managed to effectively teach its adversary a lesson. One such notable example is in 2006 Lebanon War, which erupted after Hezbollah operatives illegally entered Israel, resulting in the death of 8 Israeli soldiers and the abduction of 2 others. Following the conflict, of Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah openly expressed regret for initiating the operation, stating that he would not have proceeded if he had known the magnitude of the ensuing war. However, it is important to acknowledge that the lesson came from a great cost. The war lasted for 34 days, causing extensive destruction and claiming the lives of 121 Israeli soldiers, hundreds of Hezbollah fighters, and the over thousands of civilians. Additionally, more than 1 million people of both sides of the border were displaced as a result. In a stark contrast, on a recent strike conducted by Israel against Iran can hardly be compared, as they were limited and did not cause such widespread devastation or loss of life. Israel's desire to strike Iran goes beyond just retaliation. The attack by Iran, though ultimately successful, involved with the launching of 60 tons of explosive directly at Israel, breaking the unspoken rules of their ongoing conflict and causing fear and tension throughout the nation. This act of aggression has left some Israelis feeling the need for vengeance and seeking retribution. However, as Bret Stephens astutely highlighted in his piece for the New York Times, seeking revenge is a concept that is best executed with a calm and patient approach. Making decisions based on the emotions often leads to imprudent strategies. This holds particularly true in the context of Israel, where the military and diplomatic consequences are significant not only for the country but also for the entire region, especially in the event of a regional war. Therefore, it is evident that the strike on Isfahan was carefully planned and executed in a manner that aimed to avoid any potential escalation of conflicts. Why we should rename cities and streets in Bharat? Watch this video now. If you find this video informative, be sure to like, share and subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching. Pranam.